Good day, everyone. My name is Mashangu from Tutotvolt. I'll be tutoring you civil procedure module. First of all, before we start, I'll be guiding you on how to approach the module. Firstly, when you approach the module, you should be positive about the module. Because of if you are negative, you'll get negative results. Therefore, you must be positive in order to attract positive results. This module is not difficult, it's not easy, it's challenging while interesting. So what you should do, you just have to give this module time. You just have to give this module time and put effort. Nothing is difficult and nothing is easy. You understand? So you just have to be yourself, you apply yourself to the module, then you put effort, you'll be fine. Because the moment you start civil procedures difficult, it will also be difficult to you. What you should do is that you must be positive about the module. The moment when you are positive about the module, therefore you'll get positive results because positivity attracts positivity. So we will be starting with introduction of civil procedure, which is Unit 1 or Chapter 1. So what you should know is that civil procedure is a procedural module. You understand? It's a procedural module. It's part of private law. When we say private law, it means that it only involves private people, which is a private individuals, me and you. That means it's a private law, you understand? So in civil procedure, state is not involved. You understand? State is not involved in civil procedure. State is only involved in criminal procedure. That's where you'll find the state. But here in civil procedure, we deal with private parties. We deal with private parties or private individuals. So civil procedure is a procedural law or a adjective law. When you say procedural law or adjective law, we mean that it deals with the procedure that must be followed in court when we adjudicate the matter. It deals with the procedure that must be followed in court when we adjudicate the matter. So we divide adjective law or procedural law with substantive law. So you must know the difference between procedural law and substantive law. Remember, procedural law is also known as adjective law. So when we talk about substantive law, you should know that substantive law, it deals with the rights and duties. And procedural law, it deals with the procedure to ensure those, to enforce those rights and duties. Example, if you go to a BMW, you purchase a car, BMW car, then you tell them that, no, I will fetch this car next week, but you've already paid the price, remember? So you tell them that, no, I will fetch this car next week. Then when you go to fetch the car, when you get there, they tell you, no, you can't take the car, but you already purchased the car. So you have a right to what? To ownership. So when a BMW company, when they refuse to give you that car, what are you going to do? You'll start a civil claim. You understand? You'll claim for the car. You claim for the ownership. Then you'll enforce what? You'll enforce procedural law. You understand? When you go for procedural law, that means you're going for civil procedure because it's the matter between private individuals. You understand? So another thing is that, another example I can say, when you purchase a house or you buy a house from another person, then you pay a purchase price. The person refuses to give you a house while you already have a right to ownership. And when you have a right to ownership, then that's a substantive law. In order to have the house, they must enforce what? Procedural law or adjective law, which is civil procedure. If they refuse to give you the house, then that means you must enforce what? civil procedure, because this is the matter between private individuals. Then yourself, you have a right to ownership. You have a right to alienate. You have a right to use and destroy the house because you have already purchased it. Therefore, that's a substantive law. Then the ownership of the house, it determines by what? By substantive law. So substantive law determines the rights and duties of the person. Therefore, adjective law, which is procedural law, it deals with what? With procedure to enforce that right. You understand? So, like I gave you example of the house. If you purchase the house, then they refuse to give you the house. Then if they refuse to give you the house, then what are you going to do? We are going to enforce that substantive law using procedural law. Then, in short, we can say procedural law enforces substantive law. Why do we say procedural law enforces substantive law? Because substantive law determines your rights. So in order to have your rights, those rights must be given to you. They must be enforced. Then how do we enforce them? Using procedural law or adjective law. You understand? Which is civil procedure. Remember, civil procedure is a procedure that must be followed in court. You understand? In order to protect what? Your rights and duties. I hope it makes sense. So, since I've emphasized on substantive law and procedural law, I'll move on to state the parties that are involved in civil matter. Understand? Remember, civil matter, guys, there is no state. There is no state. It's only private individuals. Who are those private individuals? It's plaintiff and defendant. You understand? It's plaintiff and defendant. Those are private individuals. So who commences the matter? Who starts the matter? Is plaintiff, is the one who opens the case. If you destroy my bicycle, I have a right to ownership of the bicycle. If you destroy my bicycle, therefore I am the plaintiff. Therefore yourself, the wrongdoer, we call him or her defendant. You understand? So you must not confuse criminal procedure and civil procedure. In civil procedure, parties that are involved, it's accused and state. It's accused and state. State protects complainant. You understand? State protect complainant. The complainant is the person who has suffered due to the conduct of accused. You understand? If there's a lady who has been raped, then the lady goes to police station to open the case. That lady, we don't call that lady a victim in our litigation. You understand? We call such person complainant. You understand? So that's a criminal procedure. So you must be able to distinguish between criminal procedure and civil procedure. The difference is that criminal procedure, it's a public law. It falls under public law. Civil procedure, it falls under private law. Another distinction or a difference, we can distinguish between criminal and civil. We say that criminal procedure, it deals with state and accused and complainant. It has three parties. Therefore, when you go to civil, we have plaintiff and defendant. You understand? We have plaintiff and defendant. So, when we move forward, you should know that sometimes the matter can be brought to court by means of application. You understand? Let's just say you want to register as a law student, you have LLB degree, you went to do your articles of clerkship, or you went to law school, then you are done. You want to write board exams. When you want to write board exams, they say that no, you can't write board exams without giving you. They refuse to give you a platform to write board exams without giving you a legitimate reason. Therefore, what happens? You start the application. You understand? Therefore, when you write application, it will be applicant and respondent. Who's the applicant? Is the affected party. Who's the respondent? Is the person who the application is against. You understand? So let's just say another issue. If at UNISA, Sunset Campus, there is a strike, you understand? If there is a strike, therefore UNISA wants to prohibit the strike, they will start application. You understand? They will start application. They will apply at court to apply in order to get interdict. Interdict is the remedy, you understand, to stop a certain issue, you understand, or a certain effect. So if interdict is like a court order interdict, you understand. So if there is a strike at UNISA, students are protesting, therefore UNISA wants to prohibit that strike, therefore UNISA, they will start application. Therefore, UNISA will be the applicant. The respondent will be those students who are striking. I hope it makes sense. So here, there are activities in the study guide under Unit 1. Those activities, they covered everything we have done. They covered everything you have done. If you can check properly on your study guide, page 5. Page 5 on your study guide. If you have a study guide on you, if you can check page 5 on study guide. Here, it states that read the scenario at the beginning of the study units and answer the following questions. So, we will just skip to number 1. It states that Thandi issues a summons against Peter for damages on the grounds of breach of contract. Then what does it tell you here? Thando issues summons against Peter for damages. It tells you that this is a private matter. It only involves 2 people. Therefore, it will be based on civil procedure because it's only Thandi and Peter. Therefore, here Thandi will be a plaintiff. Peter will be a defendant because Thandi is the one who commences the matter. Therefore, it states that Thandi issues a summons against Peter for damages on the grounds of breach of contract. Analyze this statement by identifying the portion that relates to substantive law and the portion that relates to adjective law. Remember, substantive law determines your rights and obligations or duties. You understand? Adjective law, we enforce those rights and duties. Adjective law is also known as procedural law. So, if you can check on page 5, study guide number 2, it states that if X laid criminal charges, you will be called the and Y will be known as the So, they are talking about what's the key words here. The keywords are criminal charges. So here that means we're focusing on criminal procedure. So if X criminal charges, you'll be called the complainant because it's the person who laid the criminal charges. Remember, I made example of if they rape a lady, then the lady goes to the police to open the case. Therefore, it means that lady is a complainant, not a victim. You can't write a victim. You should write a complainant. If they've assaulted me at the mall, therefore, they've assaulted me with GBH. Therefore, I go to police station to open the case. Then myself, I'll be, if I institute a criminal charges, therefore, I'll be called complainant if I institute criminal charges. So, if X laid criminal charges, he will be called complainant. You understand? So, X lay criminal charges against Y, then Y will be known as accused. You understand? So you should know that in criminal law or criminal procedure, we have accused, we have state, and complainant. So, number 3, if X instituted a civil proceedings. What's the key word here? Civil proceedings. If X instituted civil proceedings by issuing a summons, he will be described as the and Y will be assuming that it's possible to commence proceedings by applications. So remember, if X institute civil proceedings by issuing summons, he will be described as plaintiff. Why plaintiff? Because of this is a civil matter. He's the one who's starting the matter. He institute summons. You understand? So that means Y will be the defendant. He's defending himself against the plaintiff. That's a civil matter. You understand? So if the matter is brought by means of applications, therefore, here we don't have plaintiff and defendant. If it brought by means of applications, therefore, we'll have applicant and respondent. Remember the example of UNISA and the example of that person who went to law school and who went to complete the articles of clerkship, then they refuse that he cannot write both exams, therefore he starts the application. Therefore, since he started the application, he will be applicant, then the other part will be respondent. So remember, if maybe a person is dissatisfied about the outcome of the case, if he's not happy about the outcome of the case, therefore such person will be encouraged to appeal. Therefore, if the person is appealing, we call such person appellant. You understand? We call such person appellant. We call such person appellant. So if such person is called appellant, therefore it means that the other party will be called respondent. The other part will be called respondent. So these are just the basics of civil procedure. You understand? It's just introduction. So it's a broader module. You'll understand as time goes on. It's a broad module. So I want to make a important point. I want to make an important point. So I want to tell you that if they assault you with GBH, GBH stands for grievously bodily harm, which is assault with intent, grievously bodily harm. GBH stands for grievously bodily harm. If they assault you with GBH, or if they just assault you, remember assault is a criminal offense, but you have an option to claim for damages, to institute the civil procedure. Even if assault with GBH is a criminal offense, you have option to institute a civil procedure, which is a civil proceeding, civil matter. You understand? You can start a civil matter. How are you going to start a civil matter? You can claim for damages. If you are injured, remember assault with GBH is grievously bodily harm. If you are injured on your part of the body, therefore you have two options. You can institute criminal charges, you can institute civil charges. If you want the person or accused to serve the sentence or to be jailed, you should start criminal proceedings, which is criminal procedure. But if you want to claim for damages or certain amount, you should institute civil proceedings. You have two options. You understand? So a lot of, or rather say people, they don't know that even if assault is a crime, therefore you have option to institute civil matter. So yeah, this is the end of our Unit 1, which is Introduction of Civil Procedure. So we will meet again when we are doing Chapter 2, Unit 2 of Civil Procedure, which is based on sources of civil procedure. I thank you.